Join us at Women of Courage and celebrate the achievements of women. You must become involved. You must become part of the future. You must dare to dream. I do not care how much garbage is around you. You must dare to dream because those dreams can carry you from the sewer out of poverty and away from hatred. In the 1930s and 1940s, hundreds of black singers and musicians left America and they went to France and became famous because they dared to dream. They believed, like James Baldwin, that they had something to give to the world and they would not allow ignorance to silence their voice. Pearl Bailey went to Europe. Ella Fitzgerald went to Europe. Josephine Baker went to Europe. All of these people became famous because they dared to dream and they believed in themselves. I do not care what your mother says or what your grandmother says about you turning out to be just like your father. They are speaking out of frustration and hatred of the status in their life. They have grown old, fat, and ugly, and they speak to you out of anger that has been in their hearts all their lives. They were taught by naysayers in their family that they would not amount to anything, and they did not because they were not encouraged. Do not listen to them. Dare to dream, then stand up and live. I know the closest person to you is your mother and grandmother, but these women can be wrong. They are not fortune tellers. They are speaking from a position of lack of knowledge. If your mother cannot read or write, it is not working a decent job, then she speaks against your dreams. She is speaking from her own failures to rise above what was said by her mother and grandmother to her into her life. Maybe she did not have the means to fight back against the hatred mouths of her mother and grandmother. Maybe they told her the best way to get on in her life was to sell her body like they did. Yes, I am telling the truth. Even today, there are women telling their daughters and granddaughters to fix themselves up, go out, and find a man with their bodies. If your family persists in speaking against your dreams, then leave the area. Find you a job, keep reading, get a car, and get away from them. They are not going to change. The only thing that will change will be you. You will change into a person that you will learn to hate over time. Think about it. You are the only person standing in the way of realizing a new future for you and your family. If you resign yourself to being non-descriptive, then that is exactly what you will be all of your life, and you will pass that behavior on to your children. So you must dare to dream, cast off the limits that you, your parents, and society has placed on you. Your parents evaluated you based on their failures and their successes and their prejudice. So society evaluated you based on your physical body and the money you possessed. If you have no money, you're worthless to be avoided and discarded. Ignore what society has to say. You have one question to ask yourself in determining your destiny, and that question is, what am I capable of doing? If you answer yourself, I can do whatever I choose to do, you will succeed and life will be good to you. If you answer yourself, maybe I have a chance of winning, your life will be a roller coaster with no end in sight. Do not live your life where you will die on your knees. Dare to dream, then stand up. When trying to rise from poverty, you have two systems to fight against: ignorance and sexual sin. Be determined not to let either of these defeat you. Everywhere you look, there will be women selling their bodies. The world system will be beckoning, telling you to come join us. Do neither. Shun the immediate gratification of sexual sin and choose to live. Go to the library and read so you will not succumb to ignorance.
Every day we wake and drive to work, and we see people walking around, smiling, giving the appearance of happiness, and we envy them. We wish that our lives were like theirs. We drive home and turn on the television, and we see people walking around smiling at their friends and spouses, and we envy them, and we wish we could live a life just like theirs. These thoughts bring misery into our lives because we believe what our eyes see. We accept what is in front of us as being true. We do not see the makeup artist in the background making the final touch-ups to the actor's face. We do not see the diet pills the actors shovel down their throats at night so they can avoid eating. We believe what we see, and what we see makes us miserable. We want to trade places. We begin to think, why could it not have been me? Why could I not have a car like that? Why could I not have a wife like that? Why could I not have a husband like that? Why could I not have a house like that? On and on the questioning continues until finally we are dissatisfied with the world around us. Why could I have not been born to parents like that? All these questions force us to turn inward, and we attack ourselves. We begin to say, I thought Mary would make a wonderful wife when I married her. Now she has grown fat. She complains every day. She never stops. I wake in the morning and she complains. I drive to work and she calls complaining. I come home at night and she complains. Will nothing change? Or you think, I thought Tom would make a great husband. Now I know all he thinks about is the next woman he's going to take to bed. I'm tired of watching him. I just don't care anymore. If he wants to take the entire neighborhood to bed, I don't care. How did I get here? Am I destined to live a life I do not want? A life I hate? Is there nothing going to change? Every day we make changes, we negotiate with ourselves. We make comparisons and we come up short, and we become more and more unhappy. This is why you must take action. Otherwise, your unhappiness will lead you to alcohol, drugs, petty feuds at work, extramarital affairs, obesity, then death. Yes, unhappiness can lead to death. This is why you must take control over your life. No matter where you find yourself, you must take control of your life. Taking control will not be immediate, but the more you work at reclaiming your life and restoring yourself, control will come. You must be careful when you start your reclamation process because others around you will not want you to change. They will want you to remain the unhappy person you have always been. If you decide to return to school, keep it to yourself. If you decide to buy a new house, keep it to yourself. If you decide to move out of state, keep it to yourself. People have gotten used to the old you, and the new you may have problems exerting authority over your life with others and putting a down payment on the future. You simply may want to learn to play the piano. Do not listen when someone tells you you're too old to learn to play. If you want to learn to play the piano, do just that. Read the ads in the paper and find a teacher or contact a local school for an instructor and begin learning to play the piano. This is your life, not anyone else's. Have you noticed how mean some older people are? The meanest comes from dissatisfaction. They spent their entire life doing what was expected of them, doing what someone else told them to do, and now they are 65, 70, or 80 years of age. They realize they never did what they wanted to do. Is that not enough to make one angry? Communication is the key. We spend a great deal of time learning to communicate with others. We should spend an equal amount of time learning to communicate with ourselves. We need to stay in touch with ourselves over the years. We need to ask ourselves, what is next? Am I following someone else's playbook? Are there any changes I can make to my life that will make me happy? After you determine what these changes are, you need to sit down and assess how easy or difficult these changes will be to achieve. The books You Are the Prophet of Your Life and The Devil's Cauldron give a different perspective on self-assessment. Knowing how to relate to others is just as important as knowing how we relate to ourselves. You'll be surprised at the reading. The books are not any other. The books are a good exercise for a reality check. The full complement of books on this website was written at great cost to the writer. Jealous, envy, and even hatred was explored. You will find Be Not Defeated in Hard Times, an acclamation to the human spirit. If you do not entertain defeat, you will keep on walking, talking, and working until you win. It is all a matter of goals and asking yourself, what do I want? You may say you want an F-150, but are you willing to work a second job to buy one? Or will you tell your wife why this truck is so important to you that you have to have one? It is all a matter of goals and self-examination. Why do you have to buy a dress every week? Why are you always trying to get the attention of Betty's husband? Out of all the men in the state, you have to try and attract someone else's husband? What does Betty have other than her husband that you envy, so that you have to take her husband to bed? Why was it necessary for you to sneak a peek in her dresser drawers and see how many panties she's had? Why does it make you feel better to humiliate others? Think about it. Why? Read and find your way out of the mess you're in. Reading and considering another point of view can incite you to a new idea or spark your imagination that will lead you to change.
Do you see now why you must guard the way that you think and that you need to consider the consequences of your actions before any endeavor? Because your life and the lives of your children depend on what you decide to do or what you decide not to do. If you are to survive, you must face the day and change. Life is not for the weak and the faint of heart, because they live each day in terror and fear of what might happen. You do not have to be one of these people who is destroyed by the snares and traps of the mind. Take control and will your life into existence. You do this by feeding your mind with new information and changing friends who are toxic to your life. Taking advice is a form of following. If you're going to follow a black woman or a black man, make certain that he or she is a person of integrity and they have character, that they're not concerned so much with their breast and butt size, that they're not loudmouths and that brag all the time. There is nothing more pathetic to see in church than a reformed woman or reformed man begging God to forgive them for their sexual transgressions when their son is languishing in prison because of their neglect, or their daughters are walking the street because the mother neglected them or the father neglected them, or that they had the lack of courage and belief in self. Rather than these people going to church begging God to help them, they need to stand up, get a job, and go save their children. You are never too old to change. You must ask more of life than a snort of coke, a hit from a cigarette, and a wink from a man or woman. We hope after this broadcast, your circumstances will have changed today, because you will begin to doubt your motives and the way you've been thinking. Doubt is good, but use that with a follow through and change. Become willful for the benefit of black men and women, not willful for their destruction. People are destroyed by harsh words and rebuffs. You are no better than the next woman. You are just good at hiding your nature. Instead of being a ravenous wolf, change and become a woman or man of courage, a woman with a purpose to bring forth life, not death, through her labor. I am going to introduce 2 more books to you that I think will help you to introduce these books, should help support you in your attempt to change for a better life. The two books are entitled A Christian is Never Desperate and Be Not Defeated in Hard Times. Let me say to you, I'm not trying to convert you to become a Christian. All I want is for you to read the books and entertain new ideas. Okay, the two books, A Christian is Never Desperate and Be Not Defeated in Hard Times, were written for the people that find themselves in a dark place. You get to this dark place by allowing people and or circumstances to weigh you down. These two books will give you a way back out of the darkness. The books provide you with tools that you can use to fight your way back to the light. When you let fear control you, your thinking becomes chaotic. You will not problem solve correctly. Your body will record the statements of your mind and you will feel sick. As soon as you begin to feel uncomfortable or feel on edge, you need to examine your thoughts. You need to ask yourself, what was I just thinking? What did I just say to myself? What fears am I releasing into my spirit? If you get a sick feeling in the pit of your stomach, or you get a headache, or you begin to frown, or you can no longer smile, you need to begin to ask yourself, why am I thinking this way? What thoughts change the way I am feeling? My mind is sending negative images. These images are taking you to a dark place, especially if you feel like running. Remembering unpleasant situations cause dark thoughts, or make comparisons also elicit dark thoughts. For example, Robert left home yesterday morning looking for a job, but he did not find a job. I want you to picture Robert as being your brother who's been borrowing money from you a long time, or Robert is your husband who's been employed a long time. Each of these people said that they left home looking for a job. They returned and said they did not find a job. Therefore, you concluded, if I leave home looking for a job, I will not find a job. First of all, this is a stupid assumption. How do you know Robert actually looked for a job? How do you know he did not leave home and go to his friend's house and play video games until 3 o'clock in the afternoon? How do you know how many employers he tried while looking for work? How many jobs did Robert tell himself that he could do? Did he tell himself that he could become a short order cook, a dishwasher, a waiter, a person who answers the phone, a fireman, a EMT driver, working as an orderly in the hospital, etc.? You're basing your assumption on what you think Robert did, but you really don't know what Robert did. So Robert came home and said he couldn't find a job, so you conclude that if you go out there, you can't find a job either. That's not true. What jobs did Robert dismiss thinking negatively that he would not be hired? Robert could also be a big liar. He wants everyone to think he spent all day looking for a job, when actually Robert spent all day in the bar drinking because he was afraid of rejection. He was afraid of going and ask for a job and having somebody tell him no. Robert would rather go rob a grocery store than to face the fact that he needs to learn to read so he can fill out a job application. It may be the type of person that would rather take a chance on going to prison than revealing that he does not know how to read and write. So he's having a hard time trying to get a job because he doesn't know how to read and write. So how can he fill out an application? And Robert is not asking anyone for help. Think about this statement. As long as McDonald's, Burger King, or Wendy's make hamburgers, one of these restaurants will be hiring. These restaurants are not shy about telling the public to come eat their hamburgers. So why couldn't Robert find a job? People are still eating hamburgers. Maybe the problem is Robert does not have enough ego strength to work a job around a lot of teenagers. See my point? Is Robert's ego so fragile that he dreads seeing any of his friends come into a restaurant and he has to wait on them? So to avoid this imagined embarrassment, he robs a grocery store and kills the clerk. Just because Robert can't find a job doesn't mean that you can't. Create your own future. Read the two books I discussed, A Christian's Never Desperate and Be Not Defeated in Hard Times. You can learn how to fight for a better life. You can read the first chapter of each of these books by going to the website touchedbythelight.us and clicking on the cover. There's a lot you can gain from reading these books. Do not reject this advice. If you're sitting there without a job and you're holding a gun, contemplating violence, you need to change. There are thousands of black children in this world that's sick and tired of having to go see their parents in prison. You should not subject your children to this trauma. You need to find another way out of your dilemma other than violence or selling your body. That's what this series is about. Your survival is based on the battle that you conduct in your mind. You need to learn how to fight against negative thoughts. Anytime you're thinking about committing a crime or selling your body, that is a negative thought. The battle for your survival is in your mind. I am going to pause for a second to take a short break while you listen to information regarding willpower and encouragement. It is all a matter of learning new behaviors. And please remember, it is easier to build strong minds than to repair injured people. What I said is a modification of a quote by Frederick Douglass. He said, it is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. Now,
Life is at its best when you get to the mountaintop. Nevertheless, at times we lose our way and land in the valley. Adversity comes and shakes us in fear. What do you do at such a time? Where do you get your strength when it's gone? Be Not Defeated in Hard Times is the book you need to overcome such fears and gain back your strength. It's cheap, $10.95 only. To purchase this book, log into https://touchedbythelight.us/regular-publications before it's out of stock.
hello, this is Minister Gloria Lee from the Women of Courage Show. I want you to prepare to vote. That is correct. I want you to make up in your mind, come hell or high water, that you will vote in every election that is held in the state of Michigan, regardless of how long the voting lines are and regardless of the weather. Your vote is important. That is why you need to take some water with you and a small stool to sit on. Your vote will determine the property tax we pay, the car insurance that we pay, the housing that is available for seniors, the schools our children will attend. Your vote will determine the number of new job openings, the number of hospitals and hotels in our city. Your vote will determine the policies at our universities and the police force. Never assume that your vote does not count. Voting is the most essential activity that you will ever participate in your life. People have died so you can vote. Elections comes down to voter turnout, so stand in line and make your vote count. I would like for you now to listen to a short speech by John Lewis on voting. Listen to what he has to say and note the passion in his voice.
The Democratic National Convention has gavelled into session on this day 3, beginning about an hour ago. Let's go straight to the floor, where veteran Georgia Congressman and civil rights pioneer John Lewis is speaking.
Or do you want to keep America moving forward? My dear friends, your vote is precious. almost sacred. It is the most powerful non-violent tool we have to create a more perfect union. Not too long ago, people stood in unmovable lines. They had to pass a so-called literacy test, pay a poll tax. On one occasion, a man was asked to count the number of bubbles in a bar of soap. On another occasion, one was asked to count the jelly beans in a jar, all to keep them from casting their ballot. Today, it is unbelievable that there are Republican officials are trying to stop some people from voting. They're changing the rules, cutting polling hours and imposing a requirement intended to suppress the vote. The Republican leader in the Pennsylvania House even bragged that his state's new voter ID law is going to allow Governor Romney to win the state. That's not right, that's not fair, and that is not just. And similar efforts have been made in Texas, Ohio, Florida, Wisconsin, Arizona, Georgia, and South Carolina. I've seen this before. I lived this before. Too many people struggled, suffered, and died to make it possible for every American to exercise their right to vote. We have come too far together to ever turn back. So Democrats, we must not be silent. We must stand up, and speak out. We must march to the polls like never, ever before. We must come together and exercise our sacred right. And together, on November 6th, we will re-elect the man who will lead America forward, President Barack Obama.
Congressman John Lewis is a living legend and an icon of the civil rights movement. A central focus of Lewis's activism has been the fight for the right to vote, a right that until 1965, generations of African Americans had been denied.
When John Lewis was a teenager, he read in a comic book about what Dr. King had been doing in Montgomery. And he went to his parents and he says, I want to be part of this.
By 1963, John Lewis had helped organize demonstrations and sit-ins across the South. When he was elected chairman of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee that same year, he became one of the Big Six leaders of the civil rights movement and helped plan the March on Washington. At age 23, Lewis was the youngest person to speak at the event. But his most defining moment came 2 years later, when he turned his attention to voting rights and helped lead a dangerous civil rights march from Selma to Montgomery.
John Lewis was on the front lines of the 50-mile march, starting in Selma to Montgomery, demonstrating the murder of Jimmy Lee Jackson, a young African-American who was killed by a state trooper, but also the denial of African-Americans' right to vote across the South. If they could get the nation to zero in on Selma, Alabama, a place that had a large black population and very few African-Americans who were registered to vote, then perhaps there could be some action.
As activists marched across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, state troopers tear-gassed and beat them on what came to be known as Bloody Sunday. Lewis himself was severely beaten, suffering a fractured skull. 8 days after Bloody Sunday, President Lyndon Baines Johnson introduced the Voting Rights Act in Congress, and he would sign it into law in August 1965.
Today, we strike away the last major shackle of those fierce and ancient bonds.
The Voting Rights Act of 1965 was written on the road from Selma to Montgomery. The government responded and reacted to the power of the people.
John Lewis has helped secure the right to vote for millions of Americans. He's been on the front lines of the fight for civil rights for over 50 years. And the last time I checked, he was still fighting.
Too many people struggled, suffered, and died to make it possible for every American to exercise their right to vote. And we have come too far together to ever turn back. We must stand up, and speak out.
Hi, I decided that at the end of every show for the next year, I would share excerpts from a book that I believe would enhance your life and make you a stronger thinker and problem solver. All characteristics that will help you win at life and raise stronger and healthy children. Many of you turn your nose up at reading, or you snub the advice that you must read in life to succeed, or you compare the cost of a book to getting a new pair of shoes or getting your hair done or your nails done. The reason why you make these cost comparisons is because you do not truly value a book. A book is a magnificent instrument that can change the course of your life and the lives of your children. In later shows, I plan to discuss with you how a book changed the lives of certain people. I understand that you do not earn a lot of money, and this money is valuable to you because of all the things you see advertised that you desire, and you do not want to spend a lot of money on a book. A new pair of shoes is more valuable to you than a book. If you truly cannot afford a book, then you need to go to the library and take your children with you for a day of reading. You must gird your loins and proceed at educating yourself. Some of you seem to think that having a conversation with your stupid girlfriend or your stupid boyfriend will help you more than reading a book, when actually having a conversation with your loudmouth girlfriend or loudmouth boyfriend is merely a cathartic, allowing you to blow off steam and proclaim how life has been so unfair to you. What you do not realize is that the advice coming from your do-nothing girlfriend or your do-nothing boyfriend is advice coming from a fool. Your do-nothing girlfriend is a sexual opportunist looking for a man she can impress with her body. When her vagina fails her, what will your girlfriend do but go to work at McDonald's or Wendy's at the age of 60 and continue to spread her ignorance at church? Her daughter will be on the street and her son in prison. She will never realize that her life is the result of the decision she made not to educate herself through reading. All her life, she felt that she had something better to do than reading. She had something better to do than reading with her children. She had something better to do than working with her children. And that was going to the bar, trying to entertain a man, or trying to find some man that would buy her a pair of shoes. A man spending money on her was more important than educating herself. In later shows, I'm going to spend a great deal of time giving you some examples of fools. These are people who think they are smart, willing to trade their body and integrity for a dollar bill. These people end up in the cemetery after lamenting each and every day of their lives about their unfilled dreams. Do not be upset by the use of the word fool. You tell me if a woman is not a fool to instruct her grandson to kill her husband for a $25,000 life insurance. Let that sink in for a moment. Instead of instructing her grandson to make something of his life, the grandmother instructs her grandson to become a murderer, to kill his grandfather. I have this anecdotal advice for you about reading. Listen to this short true story. A friend and I were talking. She said a woman she knew called her and sought to renew their friendship. During their conversation, the woman told my friend that President Trump had done so much for black people, and that's why she voted for him in 2016, and she was going to vote for him again in the upcoming election. My friend asked her a question. She said, "Tell me some of the things that Trump has done for black people." The woman said, "A whole lot." My friend persisted and asked her to name one thing that Trump had done for black people. The woman could not. The woman kept using the phrase, "a whole lot of things." My friend said after a while she stopped talking. Finally, the conversation was over and my friend hung up. My friend said, as she hung up, she made up her mind right then that she would never renew her friendship with this woman. Now ask yourself why. Why would she not renew her friendship with this woman? You can answer this question in 2 words. The woman was a poor thinker. She never investigated anything that was told to her. Whether you know it or not, a person who is a poor thinker, who does not examine his or her thinking, is a very dangerous person indeed. Think about it. Today we're going to discuss a popular book entitled The Devil's Cauldron. On the first page of the book, The Devil's Cauldron, the author says, "Do not let the book title frighten you." The book has nothing to do with black magic, voodoo, or any other dark practice. The book was written to demonstrate that some people have a filthy mind and are unaware that their thoughts are filthy. Once you read the book, you will know if you are one of these people and why. Why else would a woman conduct a campaign to steal another woman's husband if she was not evil? Why else would a man sneak behind his best buddy's back and sleep with his wife if he was not evil? You will not want to put this book down. It is a fascinating read for sure. The mind can be a sewer, yet evil thoughts are not always profitable or beneficial. Evil thoughts can lead to your ruin. The author then asks the reader a question. In fact, she asks the reader several questions. She says, "Are you having an awful time at life? Are you unhappy with the way your life is going? Are you unhappy with the way that you are living? Do you feel like you're the only person feeling this way? Are you constantly being pressured to make one decision after another with no end in sight? Do you wish that you could start all over again and meet new people? Do you want to make differences in your life and you do not know how? Do you feel like no one is listening to you? Do you feel like no one understands you and what you're going through? If you feel this way, then it's about time for you to change. That is correct. It is about time for you to change. It is about time for you to disengage yourself from the world system and try God. It's just that simple, because the world is leading you astray. If you have finally decided to give up and are at your wits' end, then it is time for you to try God. You have tried all of the world systems to no avail, so maybe it is time for you to try God. You do not have to worry about failing because God will show you the way to prosperity, health, and wealth. You can be a success at life. He will improve your family's relationships. He will move you to a better neighborhood. He will see you through college. And he will find you a successful mate. But what about your evil thoughts? These thoughts will have to change. Change does not have to be seen as something awful that one must endure. Change can be an enjoyable process, especially if you are hopeful and have a vision of the person you will become. Do not be like those people who are always thinking negative or forecast gloom and doom at every turn. You can bring happiness and peace into your life by changing. The author says you can bring peace and happiness into your life by changing your associates, changing where you do business, changing your employer after receiving a better education. You can change your home life by renewing your commitment to your wife or husband. Change is possible in every facet of your life. If you begin to be hopeful, you can look forward to a new day. Hope will enter your life through the Word of God. So begin to study God's Word and expect good things to come into your life, even in the midst of danger. Now, that's a powerful statement made by the author. She says that you can expect good things to come into your life, even in the midst of danger. That means in the midst of a pandemic. You read the Word of God and you are led to change. Embrace this feeling and be confident that renewal is a possibility in your life. You can become a new person. The author tells her audience that the book, The Devil's Cauldron, was written to give men and women some of the same tools that she used to fight for her life. Men and women have to fight and fight just to be given the same opportunities as other educated, wealthy men to develop their lives. Women are constantly told you must be beautiful. You must be pretty to make it in your life. You must have a large buttocks. You must have a large breast to make it. Men have to like you if you're going to be somebody. You are no one if you are not married. Women are constantly told what to do and how to do it every day by the church. The church is on a mission to bring women back under control. The church tries to indoctrinate the mothers so their girls cannot play basketball or baseball. They don't get the same education as boys. Female children are not encouraged to attend college so they can seek jobs in corporate America, because these jobs should be given to men, because men are the ones responsible for providing for the family. This is all wickedness. This is all evil people talking. Why should the church conduct a campaign to enslave the minds of women? What benefit does the church derive from trying to deny women their rights and custody to their own bodies? The author goes on to say, if I have learned anything in this life, it is that one must always move forward and play the hand that life has dealt. I wrote this book as a quick reference for people who become depressed during their day. You may want to carry this booklet with you every day so you can constantly remind yourself of God's promises. You may feel frustrated because you married a man who could not manage his money. So you are taking your anger out on yourself or on him. He didn't tell you to marry him. He asked you to marry him. There's a difference. Instead of being mad at yourself for marrying him and taking it out on him, look for a solution. If a man can come on television and tell you to take a purple pill for what ails you, and you follow his advice, then you definitely can follow the advice to save your life. There is no right or wrong answer, but there is always a better answer. but it requires thinking to get to the better answer. Let the weak say, I am strong. Joel chapter 3, verse 10. You do not have to participate in evil deeds. You do not have to have evil thoughts. It's up to you to make the change. It's up to you to stop looking at about what other people have and start trying to develop your life for yourself, for your children, and your spouse. The book, The Devil's Cauldron, is a rough read, but it will definitely not only entertain you, but bring you insight into the minds of how people think. The best thing that you could do for yourself today is go to the website touchedbythelight.us and read the first chapter of this book. You will be definitely glad that you did. I hope you enjoy listening to the above narrations. You must pursue some of your dreams. You have the right, just like everyone else, to try and obtain what you dream of. Do not let anyone tear you down, tell you you're stupid, and try to prevent you from pursuing your dreams. All over this country, there are people sitting in bars drinking every night, drinking their lives away because they are sad and disappointed with their lives. They are angry. They are seething with rage because they did nothing with their lives because they allow other people to tell them what to do. They see their high school classmates living in big houses, driving the latest model cars, working fantastic jobs, and all they see for themselves is more and more misery. You must stand up for yourself. Do not listen to anyone who tells you what you can and cannot do, including all of your relatives. Put these people out of your life. Fill your life with like-minded people, people who are pursuing their dreams, people who are encouraging one another, people who do not lie, cheat, and steal, people who are willing to try to enroll in every college that they can, people who will stay up late at night studying, not people that spend all their time in the dope house. I want you to sit down and make plans of how you can start realizing your dreams. Then go out and try to accomplish these desires. Remember, planning is essential to success. And remember, leave negative acting and negative talking people alone. Always talk to yourself and encourage yourself. Always tell yourself what you can do. As soon as you hear someone telling you what you can and cannot do, you leave that person alone. That person is a negative person and they will never accomplish anything. And if you keep them by your side, you will become just like them. You do not want your life to be filled with disaster. You do not want to go home every night sad because your children did not turn out the way you wanted them to. Stand up for yourself. Remember, thousands and thousands of people are dying every day and they did not do anything with their lives that they wanted to do because they listened to stupid acting people. Years ago, people were told they couldn't fly. Years ago, people told that they could not travel underwater, but it ended up being told that they were liars. You can fly. Man can fly, and man can operate underwater. The possibilities for your life is endless. All you have to do is make a plan and start working toward that plan and not listening to stupid, ignorant people. That's the biggest problem in trying to come out of poverty, is that you're surrounded with ignorant people. Move away. Surround yourself with people who want something out of life. People who believe in themselves, just like you're going to believe in yourself. God bless, and I'll talk to you next week. This video was brought to you by the Women and Children's Restoration Ministries. Why not email us at murderedvoices@gmail.com and learn about the programs we have to assist women. We welcome women who wish to participate. Surely you have a few hours each month to help us with one of our programs. We believe that one of our programs, Recruiting Citizens, The Wall Project, Black Women in Cancer, Teach Someone to Read, will interest you, where you might volunteer once a month to help us. Our primary function is to assist women in changing their lives. Email us today. We would appreciate your help.
In the era of speedy development and drastic social changes, the cancer scenario has also changed. Breast cancer has become the #1 cancer in women. And according to research, breast cancer is the most frequent cancer among women, causing over 500,000 deaths every year. Breast cancer is one of the preventable diseases. Therefore, raising awareness surrounding breast cancer is incredibly important, as early detection, often through screening, can catch the disease when it is most treatable. At Touched by the Light, our goal is to raise the awareness of breast cancer and help reduce the mortality rate caused by this fatal disease. We are looking to do this by selling 5 different books that are all about helping you to improve your life to help us raise sufficient funds for our breast cancer awareness campaign. From the You Are the Prophet of Your Life by Gloria G. Lee, that's all about teaching you how to prophesy into your life like God wanted, to the Prayer Jar that's designed to help you strengthen your prayer life, to life-saving advice that provides you with important life tips to change your life for the better, Journey to the Middle Kingdom, and What You Must Do to Win. You'll enjoy a great read that's certain to change your life. All we're asking you to do is support our breast cancer initiative by purchasing one or more of our books on WHPR TV 33. 160 Victor Street, Highland Park, www.nisv.info, and www.touchedbythelight.us. And as a token of our appreciation, we'll give you a free gift for every book you purchase. Also, please don't forget to tune in to the Women of Courage show that broadcasts on WHPR 88.1 every Friday from 3 to 4 p.m. and every Sunday from 8 to 9 a.m. Remember, by telling your friend about our campaign, you'll be helping us fight this deadly disease. Call us today at 734-786-3233 for more information.
Our lessons are viewer supported. If you enjoy our lessons and they have been a help to you, please send the Women of Courage show a donation. Any amount will help. $1 will help. Spread our message. You can also go to our website, touchedbythelight.us, and purchase the book, You Are the Prophet of Your Life. We support ourselves through book sales. The book is also on sale at the radio station WHPR 160 Victor Street in Highland Park, Michigan, right off of Woodward Avenue. If you do not have internet access, you can make a donation to us by mailing it to Post Office Box 7688, Bloomfield Hills, Michigan 48302. Your support will be greatly appreciated.
This is a discussion of the book Be Not Defeated in Hard Times. Resilience is a trait we all need in this life in order to push through during difficult times. The writer uses quotes that illustrate concisely why and how you get the strength to carry on. Instead of thinking negatively about your life every time something goes bad, it tells us to be hopeful and trustful of the Word of God that promises good plans of success for those that follow His Word. Every time you fall down in life, stand up. When you feel defeated, pray and trust that the Lord will guide you out of your problem to victory. Why should you read this book? It's encouraging. The book is filled with quotes and passages that will keep you going during tough times. It teaches us to be resilient and persistent when pursuing things in life, despite the hurdles and impediments that we face. Assuring, we are taught to trust in our abilities and also God, that He will lead us through the good and tough times with the best plans for you and those that believe with you. It assures us that we shall not feel alone if we walk with the Lord and heed His words. Strengthens your faith. In the book, we see instances that the writer tells us to leave it to God. However, it is not to say that we should be lazy and complacent complacent. Instead, we are reminded that faith without actions is dead. Therefore, we should believe that God will help us achieve what we plan to as we work for it. Gives alternatives. The book gives advice on how to handle matters when they are hard. The best advice is that you should try something different. A change is always the beginning of something new. Thus, changing might unlock new doors and get you out of positions that you're stuck in. Hopeful. Despite the hard times we face, all the moments we feel beaten down and out of breath, there is always light at the end of the tunnel. The book illustrates that quite well and shows us that there is always someone we can tell all of our problems to. God. Moral guidance. Quoting explicitly from the Bible, the writer gives us a path to follow as we walk with our Creator. As we make decisions in life, we can refer to the book and make morally upright and good decisions that will aid in our prosperity. Fruits of the Holy Spirit. From the book, qualities such as self-control and patience are emphasized and taught. We therefore can learn how to acquire them and be better people. They help us deal with issues critically, leading to good choices. Emotional control. Anger clouds our judgment. Learning how to control it and temper our rage and other emotions significantly makes us better and more prepared for hard times that we always face in life. Politeness and wisdom. The choice between whether to talk back or keep quiet is a rather hard one and needs the wisdom to discern. From reading the book, we can see why politeness or being quiet entirely is the best option and when you should stand up for yourself.
Join us at the Women of Courage show every Friday from 3 to 4 p.m. and every Sunday from 8 to 9 a.m. for information that will change your life.